Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 116. I am your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have back with us the internationally acclaimed founder of Etan Comics, Beserat Debebe.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's great to have you back here, Beserat. You're here. You're going to talk to us about your latest Kickstarter campaign, ZUFAN, issue number 1.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much. Seriously, always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, this is
the chillest conversations. I don't even have to prep and going. So I'm very happy to be back. Yeah, and very happy to be introducing ZUFAN to everybody.
Right, and I know it was when you were on your second interview that we did. So this is your third interview. So you have now officially made it to the status of friend of the show. So after three appearances, you become friend of the show. So
I love it.
We'll get a little badge and everything. You can put it next to the projects we love. You can just put on friend of the show next to it.
Next time I come in, I want a badge. I didn't even know. I would have been appearing more often. But yeah, that's an honor. I'm very happy to be back.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, and I remember you talked to us about ZUFAN last time you were on. You're saying, "Hey, I got this thing," and I knew about this, and it's good that you're kind of introducing this. The fact that Ethiopia was the only country that was not colonized in Africa.
Yeah.
Out of the 54 countries, it was the only one that was never colonized. So
right. I mean, it's incredible. I thought that people knew this. When I came to the States, but I realized how much that this information has been it's not really out there like that. It's unless people seek it out and find it. And I just thought it's such an important story to tell because it's a story of African resilience, African resistance. It's about African courage, unity, all these traits, these positive, uplifting, inspiring traits that we usually don't get to see on mainstream content. Most of the content out there kind of focuses on the pain or the trauma of African people, and so I thought this was such a good content to bring to the comic fan base and just story lovers in general.
Because the way you describe this is a Pan-African sci-fi inspired by a true story.
Yes.
Explain to us what you mean by that.
Okay. Yeah. So I would love to do that. So what happened? So the story is based off of, as we just talked about, it's based off of Italy's invasion of Ethiopia in the 1800s. It basically takes that history and recounts it through a fictional sci-fi story. Now, the setting, so instead of telling the story directly, as if it was either Gladiator or Troy, we decided to change things up into this futuristic sci-fi story where you have multiple, an African nationality cast involved in the story. And why did we do that? The reason is because when I grew up learning about this side of history, the history of Italian invasion of Ethiopia and all that stuff, all of the lessons focused on the very famous figures from the time, and they really missed the day-to-day relatable truths and emotions of the time, right? Did people see this coming? Did people see colonialism coming? How did it start? Why didn't we stop it? All these questions, at a day-to-day level, at a personal level, we couldn't find the answers to those. And so, and I found that people were distracted by famous figures, especially Ethiopians and whatnot. When they saw this story, they were distracted by, oh, this was the emperor so-and-so, who was, courage, and this was the warrior so-and-so. And so what I wanted to do is kind of, okay, if I just strip away the distraction of famous figures and focus in on the day-to-day, how can I do that? And that was what led me towards, okay, let me make this story, you know, in a sci-fi setting, change it up to this Pan-African cast instead of like this just Ethiopian story. Make it an African Pan-African story, because this is, even the true story is a more of an African victory than just an Ethiopian victory, right? This victory that Ethiopia had over Italy kind of gave rise to the resistance movement that allowed Africa to be decolonized and fight for their independence all over Africa, right? So this was the first instance where it was like a purely African indigenous nation defeated a colonial force that came to invade and stayed independent, right? Without no extra help. So it was immensely inspiring to all the rest of the African nations to hear and know that there's a nation that's out there doing this, and it even egged them on to intensify their resistance. Not just in Africa, it also did it in outside of Africa for the African Americans or all over the world.
Right.
This was a big movement that was like, it was even being tried to suppressed a lot by colonial forces because they didn't want to admit or have it known that an African nation defeated a European colonial force, right? So I really wanted to, kind of take this amazing story, kind of make it a more African story than just an Ethiopian story. So that's why we went to the sci-fi route, where, you have a cast from, Nigeria, you have a cast from Ghana, Kenya, you have different casts that contribute to this story, and kind of make it out like this exciting sci-fi adventure.
So compared to your previous thing, like at Jember and Hawi, what made you decide to have this take place why make it sci-fi instead of maybe like a historical historical like graphic novel or something?
Yeah. So this has been kind of my plan, like from early on, in that one of the things I don't want to do with our brand, with the Etan Comics brand, that we started, is corner us into just one genre of storytelling, which is just superheroes or just fantasy. I also don't want to be the only author in this brand. I don't want Stan, my amazing artist, to be the only artist, right? And so what I really want, my goal and our goal in this company, is to be a place where African storytellers can come and share whatever stories in the different genres they want. And so I really wanted to make sure that we are carving out space for different genres. And so that's why this story here is a sci-fi genre and a historical genre, right? So it's just kind of branches away from the superhero genre we've done and the fantasy genre we've done in the past. And so it's really to like open up and make sure that when people see our brand, they know that it's more than just like the typical Marvel DC type brand, and which I don't think is the best model for our company.
Right. Yeah. And do you see yourself? Because one of the other cool things that, and I was talking to you before the show, was that you've reached out to other Pan-African comic creators.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. I backed it. I backed ZUFAN. I think just earlier today. I was really excited because I really want to see where this story goes. This is right up. I love these world building aspects of things.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear your feedback on it. Yeah.
So where did you? So first of all, when you kind of give us the lowdown of ZUFAN, is this going to be like a limited series or an ongoing series? What's your idea for this?
At this very moment, it's a limited series. I'm thinking like 5 to 6 issues, depending on how detailed I want to get and intricate I want to make the story. But it's going to be a limited series, like a one and done, a complete story. And depending on like fans' feedback, in the future, if it's like, oh my God, we love this world, we want more of this, then we might revisit it. But at this point, I want like a one and done instead of like this big, huge universe, because this is like a very finite story. I mean, at least it's a composed story, right? It's just like this event that happened. Why did it happen? How did it happen? What were the different, emotional stakes and the different physical stakes, all that stuff. So it's a complete story.
And so talk to us, putting on your writer's hat for a second there.
Yeah.
How was the world building aspect of this, like the science and the technology piece of this, which is kind of different than what you've been used to writing?
Oh
right?
man, yeah, it's challenging. It's really challenging because it's also one of my fears. I'll admit that, because with the sci-fi genre, which is something I haven't been used to, like everybody wants to be immersed in the world, like
right.
see how things are working, what's changed, and all that stuff. And for me, that doesn't come as second nature. What comes to me much more like, and when I write, what comes to me much more naturally is the interaction between characters and the emotions behind it, the motivations behind it, and things like that. So the world building definitely has been challenged, and but I think that with the Stan's help, and because it's always a team effort with this kind of stuff, it's definitely gone in the direction that I know if I saw it, I'll be like, wow, I love this. And my hope is to keep on improving it in the like upcoming issues as well. And like one of my fears, as I always I tell like my team members, is like people super focusing on like the logical and the factual. Oh, how does this machine work? Why what this kid, this is not possible, and calling me out, and I'm like, oh no. But yeah, no, I'll just say that it was challenging, especially because, like, for example, one of the elements of the story is, in the 1800s, and in that era of the scramble for Africa, the introduction of guns was a major thing, right? It was like fighting spears and arrows with guns. Like it was huge. It was a big deal. And so when I took that to this futuristic world, I was like, okay, now I have to invent some weapon that basically nullifies guns a little bit. Like, right? That's our modern day weapon, and so if somebody from extraterrestrial life came by and then offered us something even better, what would that be? And I was like trying to like rack my brain, like, oh my God, like how can we overcome that, and do research over that and all that stuff. And I think that, so those I don't know if you've seen them on the, if you scroll on the page, you'll probably see and the swords that the characters use, and
right.
that right there. So that's actually the replacement, and you'll see why in the story. It will be revealed in issue 1, as to how that's basically the similarity to getting guns. And yeah, but it's just interesting. This world building is very interesting. It's challenging, and I'm just learning as I go.
So how much of the story, because you said you're kind of seeing it as kind of like a 5-issue or 6-issue storyline, is it already outlined out, and you already have? Okay.
Yeah, so I've outlined it out. It's what is it? The thing about outlines for me is that, like, issue 1 was also outlined, but by the time it was done, it was like so different compared to my outline. But I know for sure how I want to structure the key events I want to hit, the key emotional traits, escalations that I want to hit and I want to show in this story. So it is outlined out, and that's why I said it's a 5 to 6 issue maybe, because I don't know, if I'm going to end it at 5, I'm going to end it at 6, but I just know that I don't want it to extend to something ridiculously long, Yeah.
And so for ZUFAN, was it Stanley who did the art for this?
Yeah, so it's a combo. There's Stanley's like the main guy, the art director, and he did a lot of the pages. There's another kid.
Toyin?
Say that again.
Toyin?
No, Toyin is our colorist. He's
okay.
also a fantastic artist, by the way, which I'm gonna start actually having him be a line artist. But he did the colors. He always does the colors for almost all of our projects now, for both Hawi, Jember, and ZUFAN. He did the colors. But the other artist his name is Kelechi. And his last name is very tough for me to say, so I don't want to butcher it. But yeah, so he was involved as well, and I think it's a combo. It's a combo of those two artists.
Right. Okay. No, but Stanley, he didn't do Howie though, did he?
Stanley did Howie.
He did Howie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Stanley did Howie. Yes.
Okay.
And I like as I told you, my goal, my hope is that like I'm not the only writer. Stanley's not the only artist, and that's why we brought on Kelechi to kind of see how it goes and all that stuff. Me and Stan have been working on multiple projects right by now, so we already know, like the beat, right? We're now in the process of trying to grow, trying to train, trying to see who can take the mantles and all that stuff.
Right. And are you wearing your Nah t-shirt?
Yeah.
Is that what you're wearing? Okay. All right.
Oh, you noticed.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. This is our shirt. This is so the Howie one had the Nah Menelik shirt, Emperor Menelik. That's the emperor of the time for when Ethiopia won the battle against Italy, and then we had a variant made for his wife and the empress at the time, Empress Taitu, and that's the shirt that we offered for like early bird, so like in this first 72 hours and all that stuff. They're pretty popular shirts. I was very surprised to see them go during our Howie campaign, and then people got really excited when we brought this variant, so it was cool. Yeah.
So talk to us about what's your response to your fans and readers who are waiting for Howie #2 or Jember #3 coming out? Was it Howie?
Yeah. So Howie's out to #2 already, and #3 is what's being waited on.
Okay.
Jember just finished its first arc, and so we have that graphic novel format now. The first 4 issues have been combined into one hardcover book. And now ZUFAN issue 1 is what's out, and then we follow that up with Howie issue #3.
Okay, all right.
So
what are you to say to your readers? Saying so you got a new book here. We've been waiting for Howie. We've been waiting for Jember, and Beserat, you just came out with another book. Is this going to delay me reading more Howie and me reading more Jember?
So what I say to that is, I like how you put me on the spot. I'm always very honest with our fans. I mean, while I satisfy the fans' desires, I have to make sure this business runs and operates, and so I can keep making these books. And what that means is I have to meet certain objectives outside of just publishing the same book again and again. And that's why, like right now, the Jember book, right, that hit a certain milestone, right? It has reached the first arc, which is the hardcover graphic novel, 128 pages collected. That's a big milestone. Right. So now we are putting a pause on Jember, and we're going to march Howie and ZUFAN. So Howie will go on until that milestone, and then ZUFAN will also go on into that milestone. right? Because Hawi and Jember's story are kind of also related in the one universe, one world. So that's now our focus is, I can't do like 3 characters at the same time. It's just too much, right? So I have to the best I can do is do 2 characters, narrow focus, get them to certain milestones. That's why, and I think that Howie fans, being that Howie's like our like most loved character at this very moment, will be happy that now we're going to be starting to focus on just Howie and ZUFAN until they meet the big milestones.
Right.
Yeah.
And is there going to be a point too where is that you're going to introduce? Is there going to be a third titular character that you're going to have another after Howie and Jember? Is there going to be? I remember we talked about this at one episode before. Is like imagining, is there going to be like an Avengers type team up, or is there going to be?
There will be a crossover. Yes, there will be a crossover of those. This is an exclusive reveal for the party.
Oh, here it is. Yeah.
So there will be a crossover between Howie and Jember. ZUFAN is a standalone, as I told you. That's also the other reason that there's a pause on Jember until Howie catches up to a certain milestone. But mapping out these stories is killing me. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I just what I don't want to do is Game of Thrones this whole series, which is have it start out awesome and then end like no, So I'm trying to just make sure I do the fans service, good service, and take it one book at a time.
Right. So from from an author perspective, what have you learned writing ZUFAN that you wished you knew when you were writing, like, say, issue 1 of Jember?
Wow, so much! Oh my God, as a writer, I've grown so much from issue 1 of Jember, especially because that was my first book. Right. But I would say the main things are, okay. Can I curse on the show? Is that allowed?
PG-13.
PG-13 version.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I first started out, I was really scared about taking risks, right? Taking risks with your story.
Right.
I could approach it to some level of authenticity, but after some point, the level of vulnerability required was like too scary. And I saw this. I listened to a lot of YouTube videos and all these things, just to get myself motivated. And I especially pay attention to other African writers, and Maaza Mengiste, and I think it was also Chimamanda Ngozi, who were both like first like. I think it was Maaza. She was like, when I did the Shadow King, she said, I called it my F it book, or my FU book, right? Yeah. That's what she said. She said, like, I've written other stuff where I've followed the rules and I've, obeyed everything, and, they did okay, but I'm done doing that. I'm going to write things that I really feel vulnerable about, and I'm just going to write it how I want.
Right.
And that's the book that literally got her nominated for the Booker Prize, right? And after I saw that, I was just like, okay, you know what? Like, this must be a sign, right? This must be a sign. And so I really gave myself permission to go where I'm scared.
Right.
And with ZUFAN, that's what I'm doing. I told you, I'm afraid of the world building piece.
Right.
I'm totally afraid of that because I don't know it as much. But I write what I envision. I'm afraid of butchering history. I write about it, But because I really love that part of our history and our heritage. And so this ZUFAN book has pushed my boundaries, my safety boundaries a lot.
Wow.
And then other than that, like the technical stuff, also a lot better. Of course, I'm a lot better at structuring, a lot better at noticing how to, like start an issue, end an issue, with different levels of emotions and the tensions and all the technicalities. Like these things, I learned. I've learned a lot of details. I've learned how to work with my artist a lot better. When I first started, I was just like, no, I don't. I didn't write it that way. And now it's like, wow, you've made it so much better. That was awesome. It's a lot like it's just I've just grown so much as an author, as a writer, as a storyteller, and I can tell clearly where I have room to grow, and I'm much more forgiving of myself than when I started. When I started, I used to be like, why am I not like this good? Or why am I not like figuring this part out, And now I'm like, oh, it's just that this is where I am in my process, and I'm growing and I'm growing. So,
right.
yeah.
And so, but what about, and so same question for Kickstarter. What,
Yeah.
What are some things you've learned from your first Kickstarter? Now you're on your fifth one.
What I have learned, the biggest learnings on my Kickstarter are my, emotional growth on those, because Kickstarters are scary. They're very, like, when I first launched, you're like so super anxious, like, my God, like, is anybody gonna come? Is anybody gonna back this? Like, like, I don't think this is gonna work. And you're like doing so many things above and beyond to make sure it works. And then when you do it the second time, you're like, was the first time a fluke? You
Right.
know, you're like, you're continually like doubting yourself whenever you launch Kickstarter. And I noticed that feeling doesn't particularly go away, but over time, when you're doing it again and again, it really does subside down, and you're like, okay, have I done my job? Have I done my part of the pre-launch promotion? Have I set up the page? Have I done the videos? Have I checked all the boxes? And then I let it go. Right? So that's growth. For me, that's a lot of growth. It takes a lot of maturity to be like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And then the second piece is also just like when I first started, I used to check like incessantly about like how much funding did I get today? Like, did I get this many backers? Oh my goodness! And then when the backer like cancels a pledge, you're like, oh no, my gosh, it's crumbling, everything's about to fall apart. And now I'm a lot more mature about that as well. In that, you know what, I am very thankful for all of these people that came on board. I'm, I don't check it. It's like my anxiety is a lot lower, and I just say, all right, what can I do today to promote again? And then what are the things that I'm thankful for today, and just stay on top of it mentally, so that I have the stamina to keep going to make sure that I see it through to the end. So those are, I would say, the main growth areas for me. This is my fifth campaign, and yeah, I think hitting towards like 75K or something raised in Kickstarter is like crazy. Wow. It's crazy.
And yeah, because right now, looking at what you have now on this one, you are already at,
I think it was at like 13, yeah.
13, yeah.
Yeah.
301 backers
301.
already.
Yay, we broke 300.
Yeah.
That's great. I hadn't seen that. That's awesome.
And is this how did this go compared to your other Kickstarters?
It's going great. Our day one, this was the best day one we've had on this on a Kickstarter. We already had about over 150 backers on the first day.
Wow.
Which our previous one was, I think, was like for Hawi, and it was like 114 or something like that. It's funded in day one as well, which was awesome, and has 9 days left. So usually, like, the biggest number of backers we've had is 481. That was for Hawi, and then I think the jember campaign we did was like 465 or something like that. So this is like 50% of the way in, and it's already at 301, which is pretty cool. So we'll see where it ends.
Right. So, looking at it here, you've gotten like a print version is 116 backers for
Yeah,
the book.
yeah,
And what's also interesting to see this is that you have 31 backers for the whole comics bundle. That means that's 31 new readers for
yeah,
Howie and Jember.
yeah. Seriously, that's awesome. Like, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Yeah. And what I also like, and we were talking about this before we went on the air, I love what you're doing with this Kickstarter, where you actually have on here some. If people back per week, you get a week one bonus.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have a week two bonus, which is basically the hashtag Pan African bundle.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
So,
the whole story, ZUFAN's story is a Pan African story. And so I was like, I really want to make this campaign's theme to be like Pan African. So I
right.
was like aggressively reaching out to different African like creatives before the campaign started, saying, "Hey, you know, this is what we're doing. This is what our Kickstarter campaigns typically average, and we would love to, you know, help you know get noticed by our backers and more people."
Right.
And you know, there's a bunch of cool creators out there. Some of these are like actually based in Africa, some of them are in the States, some of them are in Europe. And you know, it's just a pan-African affair right now. So I love that. I love that people get to walk away not only with just like an Ethiopian content, but a lot of different African content. It also reinforces the fact that Africa is a continent and not a country.
Exactly.
So, you know, I love that I can say to people, comics from Nigeria, comics from Cameroon, comics from Uganda. You know, like I love that. You know,
Right.
and it makes me very happy.
Right. Now, talk to us about that. So you said you found him where, like, if someone wanted to read, like, African created comics,
Mm-hmm.
where would be your advice? Where would be a good place to find, to find African creators?
You know, this is a good point. I feel like I wish there was like a central directory like that, but it's much more like it's like, you know, that's like the same way as asking somebody who just came here, hey, where do I read like American comics or something? Because it's, you know, you just go
Right.
like oh, there's Marvel, DC, there's like Image, blah blah blah. Like people already recognize these brands, so it's easier to find them. And it's the same way with like the African creators. The way I found them is because some of them reached out to me in that they saw our work and were like, "Oh, hey, it's pretty cool what you're doing. We've been doing it. We're doing it now. This is who we are." And so I was
Right.
like, "Awesome! I'm happy to support you guys, get awareness and all that stuff." And
Right.
the other ones, like I found them across Facebook groups. There's a lot of groups that, you know, kind of titled like African create comic creators, African gamers, African animators. Like there's different groups where you can find these comics. But I think what I would advise people is like find find like one creator that, you know, an African creator that you enjoy or you like, and then like notice their followers or ask them
Mm.
if they have any recommendations. And I'm pretty sure they can give you some. It's not like we're like this like incredibly huge number of you know creators. There's a really good amount, and they're good quality productions. But and most of us know each other, at least
Right.
from what I know.
Right.
And so it's a tight knit community.
Yeah.
And so most of these people here, like that you see on the screen you're sharing, like, you know, please reach out to them. Zebra Comics is from Cameroon. PETA Comics right there is from Nigeria. That's Chayoma right there that you see. They have really awesome content. And then Ilupe Comics is from Uganda. They have all socials. Their socials are attached to their brand names, and you can easily kind of just find them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, things like that.
So, because I back today, does that mean I get the week
So
2
you
ones?
get Toyoma and you get Anaki, and you are gonna get all the comics that are from what is it, week 3. So week 3
Okay.
have a bunch revealed, actually much more than week 2.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
But I missed week 1 though, so that's the
you just
bonus of.
missed week 1.
I
See,
know. So that's the
don't know
bonus
about
if you
week
do
1.
that, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited
yeah.
to check that out.
I'm actually excited to connect you to some of these people so you can talk to them.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So is this something that you have? What's the feedback you've gotten from doing the Pan African bundle? Is this something you're going to try to do for your other Kickstarters?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it once before with Jember.
Okay.
I've actually there was a campaign for Jember issue number 3, I believe, that I did, where we had a sort of a Pan African bundle, and that one had like Zimbabwe. We had a bunch. Man, my memory is kind of fading, but yeah. So we did it then, but that when we did it there, we had it as stretch goals, and
Okay.
so it was only unlocked when we hit a certain like amount of dollars or backers,
Okay.
and we never ended up unlocking all of them. And so this time around, I just said I actually just want people to be introduced to these platforms. I don't want to like put limits into like financial limits or backer limits on it. So I was just like, let's just give them away every week for people who join, and so the creators were down for that, and so that's what we got.
Okay. And so I've been kind of curious too for you is that um, is have you been able to kind of discover out of the mostly out of the 54 countries in Africa that you found connections for comic creators in all of them?
Well, not all of them. So the hotspots for comic creation are the Nigeria is a hotspot,
Okay.
South Africa is a hotspot, and Kenya is a hotspot.
Okay.
Okay, so these 3 are like leading the frontier of African comics, in my opinion. They have Comic Cons that they hold.
Wow.
Yeah, Lagos Con in Nigeria. I think there's one called Comic Con Africa in South Africa, and then Nairobi Con in Kenya. And so they are like the ones that would probably even have, speaking of that directory, they might be the ones actually that would have some of that information. They probably have that either on their website or something. I gotta check. So I obviously found the Nigerian content first. That's
Right.
how. Oh, there you go. You're pulling up the Jember campaign. I even
Yeah.
had like a map thing or something, if I remember. Oh, there is
Yeah.
a Nike. Yeah, there you go. See, like it would be unlocked like throughout the map of Africa.
That's
I should
awesome.
have done that this time around too. Damn it. But yeah, so I've been able to connect with most of these people, at least the ones that are like really like recognized them in these 3 hotspots, and but I haven't seen like comics from like Morocco or like Algeria, like Northern Africa. Like
Right.
I haven't seen any kind of hubs from that area.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's do you feel like also because of being one of the more recognized and well-known African comic creators, is there a sense of responsibility about trying to kind of like educate the world on African comics now?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because to some extent, I also feel like really lucky to be in this position.
Right.
There's some of the creators they've been doing this work in Africa for longer than I did, and they haven't got their shine like I did. And I have been afforded the opportunity to use Kickstarters, to use all these different other platforms to grow my audience and raise awareness and all that stuff. And so I really do feel like I want to shed light, more and more light on these creators that are trying to make it without all of these resources available to them.
Right.
Their resilience is like amazing.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So yeah.
So let's look at just to kind of go over again, just to talk to people about what they can get from
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
So you what I like, it's very, you kind of have your your digital deluxe where this is new. Did you have this in your other ones too? People can actually have a copy of the script.
No, this is the first time. Wow.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time I saw somebody else doing it, and I'm like, would people be interested in that? And then I put it in there, and actually I've gotten a few people who are like, oh, I'm very glad you're putting in the script. And so I'm happy to offer that, let people see the behind the scenes work. But yeah, so there's like the digital buckets, right? I wanted to spice up the digital tiers,
Right.
and then there's the print tiers. And with Kickstarters, that's another thing I've learned is that, like, I don't particularly think having too many tiers is a good thing. It's too much
Right.
for like customers and fans are always already overwhelmed with limitless choices in their day to day. You go onto Netflix, you don't know what to watch. You go onto Amazon, you don't know what book to buy. Like what, like you have so many options. So what I try to do is just like say, okay, I'm gonna have like 5 to 6 really good tiers, and then I'm gonna, ask myself, okay, who is this tier targeted to?
Right.
Like, and then is this for new customers or is this for previous backers?
Right.
And then once I determine what that is, I just try to make sure that those tiers are as enticing as possible for them.
Right. And then you also have the retailer
Yeah,
ones.
yeah. And
That's
then
good.
something special we're doing with that one is like that we have 2 tiers for retailers, where one is like a savvy budget version for
Right.
retailers, and then the other one is like for more larger retailers who want to buy a bigger bundle. We also have metal covers for the first time.
I know. I saw that. That's
Those,
really cool.
man, I'm so excited. I've ordered a sample to see them. Shops love them, by the way,
Okay.
which is like I was like very surprised to know these things go apparently for like $100 plus or something at the comic shops. But I mean, we're not giving them to the shops at that price, obviously.
Right.
Even for like our customers, we're not pricing it that high. It's like there's a feeling of, well, I'm not. It's like how, like, you're like, how do people price it this high? It's like, you feel all like like unsure about just pricing it that high. So but anyway, I'm very excited. There's actually a bunch of people who ordered. I didn't even know people would be that excited about it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to showing the samples to people. I've ordered a couple.
Okay. Okay. You don't have any with you now?
I don't. I wish I did.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm literally waiting for
The samples to see.
to ship
How,
them.
so what about any concerns with shipping delays at all?
Man, yeah. So there's huge. What is it? There's huge logistical issues happening like all over. There's
Right.
paper outages as
Shortage.
well,
Yeah.
shortage that's happening. So, but I've talked to the print. So first off, if this was overseas, I wouldn't be doing this campaign.
Right.
Because I know for sure it wouldn't come here for like the next 4 months.
Right.
But this we're printing it all in the United States. Two, I've actually contacted the all the my usual printing companies and asked them, hey, how's it looking? What's the your timeline with the paper shortages? And they've given me the kind of like, all right, we are what used to be 2 weeks is now 4 weeks.
Wow.
So so the plan right now is, because our goal is to make sure all of these are delivered by December. Literally the day the campaign ends, I'm ordering the books.
Wow.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that the books get in your hands with the holidays. So, and that gives me enough lead time. I'm just gonna take the risk there with our own slush fund, and and then just wait, because Kickstarter usually takes like 2 weeks to give you the funding. And hopefully, we don't like lose a bunch of backers at the last minute where you're like,
So how come you didn't grab like your previous thing add-ons and stuff like that and added and put them in the add like your stickers? Some of the things, do you still have those? You didn't want to add those, put those into your add-on menus?
So the reason is twofold. One is actually has to do with the shipping, which is I didn't want to delay orders being shipped out for like simple reasons like stickers and things like that. And the stock I have, I literally actually have it right here. It's not enough for all backers.
Okay, all right.
And so I'm worried if I like start to like offer these things, especially because when I offer add-ons, I also offer them in like post the campaign as well, like in like backer kit and stuff. And so if people order a lot, I have to wait until I see how much they have like ordered there to like kind of order the mass amount. And so I just said, at least with the books, I know
you know the numbers,
yeah, it's gonna be like huge order, so it's fine. But with these ones, I'm not sure. So let me just this campaign take a chill. Actually, the only thing I did was offer it like as an early bird, like the first 50 backers automatically like get like this sticker and this bookmark and so on and so forth.
Cool. Wow. I mean, yeah, Beserat, congratulations on getting your goal, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to get my hands on ZUFAN issue #1 now too. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback. Seriously,
I'm looking for it's as a fan of that whole area and just African history. I'm really excited to check it out. So yeah, so congratulations, and come back again.
Of course, I'm now friend status, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. And did you? So you're gonna have to now get like you're gonna have to now get like a ZUFAN poster behind you now too.
I will. That's right. I'm gonna have to figure that out. We're like this office. If I just showed you what I'm looking at, you'd be like, oh my god, it's like packed with books.
Oh yeah.
Like all these like shipping supplies and everything. And so what I'm really planning on like cleaning it up and like having all the books. Whenever a book's published, get the first printing on the wall, get the art on the wall.
Right.
Just to like it's almost like affirmation of this thing you've done that was in your head, and like yes, you're on the road.